Stop trying to fix the narcissist. They're not broken. They're working exactly as designed. What you need to break isn't them. It's the behavior patterns they use to keep you hooked. The trauma bond, the hovering, the emotional supply you keep giving them even after you've left. Because here's what nobody tells you. You don't need them to change. You need to break the cycle that keeps pulling you back in. Today, I'm giving you 5 strategies to break narcissistic behavioral patterns. Not theirs, but the dynamic they've trained you into. Let's get into it. Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to Your Fake Apology. I'm Crystal, your psychiatric nurse practitioner, and I've worked with so many women who keep asking the same question. How do I get him to stop? Stop the manipulation, stop the gaslighting, stop the games. And I have to tell you something that might sting. You can't make a narcissist stop being a narcissist. But what you can do, you can break the patterns that give them power over you. See, narcissistic behavior isn't random, it's systematic. It follows a script. Trauma bonding, hovering, emotional supply, these are all predictable cycles designed to keep you trapped. And the beautiful thing about patterns, once you see them, you can interrupt them. This isn't about changing them. This is about changing how you respond so their tactics stop. Because the day you stop feeding the cycle is the day you get your power back. Let's break it down. You have to recognize the trauma bond. The first thing you need to understand is why you keep going back, why you keep answering the text, why you keep giving them one more chance. It's called a trauma bond. It's not love, it's biochemistry. Here's what's happening in your brain. So narcissists create a cycle of highs and lows, intense love bombing, then withdrawal, affection, then cruelty, praise, then degradation. This creates what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement, the most addictive pattern known to behavioral science. It's the same mechanism that makes slot machines addictive. You don't know when the reward is coming, so your brain stays hooked, chasing that next hit of validation. This floods your brain with dopamine during the good moments and cortisol during the bad ones. Your nervous system literally gets addicted to the cycle. So when people say, just leave, they don't understand. You're not weak. You're biochemically bonded to an abusive pattern. But here's the shift. Recognition is the first break in the chain. When you can look at that text message and say, this is hovering, this is the cycle trying to restart, okay? This is not love. This is my trauma bond being activated. You create a space between stimulus and response. You start seeing the pattern instead of feeling the pull. And that awareness, that's where freedom starts. So every time you feel that magnet pull back to them, pause and name it. This is trauma bonding. This is not intuition. This is a conditioned response. Your body will catch up to your brain eventually, but your brain has to lead first. All right, here's the big one, the game changer. The reason narcissistic behavior works is because you keep feeding it. Narcissists run on something called narcissistic supply. Your attention, your reaction, your emotional energy. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. Anger, sadness, defending yourself, proving your point, it's all supply. When you cry, they win. When you yell, they win. When you write a 10-paragraph text explaining why they're wrong, they win. Because they got you to react. They got you to engage. They confirm they still have power over your emotional state. And from a psychiatric standpoint, narcissists have an empathy deficit. They don't feel emotional connection the way healthy people do. So they create chaos to feel something, to feel powerful, to feel important, in control. Your reaction is their drug. So here's how you break this pattern. You got to stop reacting. Not because you don't feel things, but because you refuse to give them the access to those feelings. They send a manipulative text. You don't defend. You don't explain. You don't engage. If it's about the kids, pickup is at 3 p.m. as scheduled. If it's bait, no response. If it's criticism, no response. If it's fake concern, no response. And here's what happened. When you stop feeding the supply, the behavior escalates at first, then it fades. They'll try harder, send more texts, show up unannounced, play victim publicly. That's called an extinction burst. The behavior gets worse before it gets better. But if you stay consistent, they move on to an easier target. Not because you won them over, because you're no longer a viable source of supply. And that, sis, is how you break narcissistic behavior. You don't fight it, you starve it. Let's talk about hovering, because this is a pattern that sucks you back in right when you've started to heal. You finally got some peace, you're sleeping better, you're laughing again. Then they text, I miss you. I've been thinking about us. I'm sorry, I'm getting help, I've changed. Or my personal favorite, I'm worried about you. Are you okay? This is hoovering. You could say named after the vacuum cleaner, because they're trying to suck you back in. And it works because it hits you right in the trauma bond. Your brain remembers the good times, your heart wants to believe they've changed. But here's the truth. From a clinical perspective, narcissists don't hover because they miss you. They hover because they miss the supply. You were a source of validation, control, attention, and now you've gone. They're running low, so they hover to refuel. The pattern is predictable. Love bombing. I can't live without you. Fake accountability. I'm in therapy. I'm changing. Future faking. Things will be different this time. Guilt. How can you give up on us? And if those don't work, threats, smear campaigns, or showing up uninvited. I know that's not always possible if you share kids, so if you can't go no contact, like fully, you go secured contact. Communication only through court-approved apps. Only respond to logistics. Here's how you interrupt this cycle. You block, delete, no contact. You go structured contact. Communication only through court-approved apps. Only respond to logistics about children. Never respond to emotional base. Save everything. They'll deny the hovering later. And when you feel yourself weakening, because you will, call a friend who knows the full story. Not someone who will say, maybe he really has changed. Someone who will say, remember what he did. Remember why you left. Remember who you were when you were with him. Because hovering works by making you forget the bad and remember only the fantasy. Don't let the highlight reel erase the horror story. All right, now we've got to talk about boundaries, because most women think they have them, but what they actually have are suggestions. A boundary without a consequence is just a wish. Here's what I mean. Please don't call me after 9 p.m. If you call after that, I won't answer. For emergencies involving the children, text me and I'll respond. See the difference? The first one is more so a request. The second one is a boundary with a stated consequence. Narcissists need consequences to take you seriously because they don't respect words. They respect action. So here's how you establish non-negotiable boundaries. 1. State the boundary clearly. I will only discuss co-parenting matters through our family wizard. 2. State the consequence. Messages sent to my personal phone will not be read or responded to. 3. Follow through every single time. Receives no reward, your attention, the behavior decreases, right? When the behavior receives no reward, but here's where women mess up. They enforce the boundary 9 out of 10 times. Then cave on the 10th, okay? And that tells the narcissist, if I push hard enough, long enough, the boundary will break. So they push harder. Consistency is everything. Your boundaries might include communication only through apps, no unannounced visits, exchanges happen at neutral locations, no discussions about your personal life, no contact with your family or friends. And when they violate a boundary, because they will, you document it and disengage. You don't argue about the boundary. You don't explain it again. You enforce it, because boundaries aren't about controlling them. They're about protecting you. Last one, and this is the hardest, but most powerful. You have to detach emotionally while staying factual. This is different from being cold or being cruel. This is about observing without absorbing. When they send a nasty text, text, your trauma bonded brain wants to defend yourself, correct the lie, make them see the truth, get them to acknowledge what they did. None of that will ever happen. So instead, you have to detach. You read the text like you're reading a case study, not a personal attack. Okay? Interesting. He's using Darvo. Again, deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. Projection. He's accusing me of exactly what he's doing. Classic hovering attempt disguises concern. Okay? So from a nervous system perspective, this moves you from amygdala activation, which is the emotional reaction, to prefrontal cortex engagement, which is rational observation. You're not suppressing your feelings. You're creating psychological distance between their behavior and your worth. And here's what that's going to look like practically. So let's say they text, "You're a horrible mother," and everyone noticed. Your trauma response, panic, shame, need to defend. Your detached response, right, internally, that's abuse. That's his pattern. That has nothing to do with my actual parenting. Your external response, no response or noted. You don't need to prove anything to someone committed to misunderstanding you. And over time, this detachment becomes automatic. You see their behavior as data, not truth. They're showing you who they are and believe them, but don't internalize them, because the day you stop needing them to see your worth is the day they lose all power over you. You're not becoming cold, you're becoming free. All right, so let's bring this home, okay? Breaking narcissistic behavior isn't about fixing the narcissist or making them see the light, because they won't. But you can break the patterns that kept you trapped. Recognize trauma bonding for what it is: biochemistry, not love. Stop feeding their emotional supply. No reaction, no power. Interrupt hovering attempt, block, delete, structured contact only, and establish boundaries with real consequences and enforce them every time. You have to detach emotionally, observe their behavior, don't absorb it. And here's what I need you to understand. Every time you break one of these patterns, you are rewiring your nervous system. You're teaching your body, I'm safe. I don't need their approval. I can protect my peace. You're not just surviving, you're breaking generational cycles. So if you've been stuck in the loop, waiting for them to change, I need you to hear this. They're not going to change, but you already have. And the moment you stop trying to make them different and start protecting yourself differently, that's when everything shifts. If this episode helped you, share it with someone who's still stuck in the cycle. Drop a comment and let me know which pattern you're breaking first. I'm Crystal, your Psych NP, and this is Your Fake Apology. You're not broken, sis. You're breaking free. Take care.